Stokes is testing the radical State Road 3 XXR under more aggressive conditions.
This first flying lap will give us some insights into how Chris Stokes' car is performing today.
Get ready for some high-octane action as the drivers take on the challenge of qualifying at Mosport 2021. Five minutes and 50 seconds left on the clock, and Neil Constable-Barry is just getting his session started through the first turn.
These opening minutes are all about finding the rhythm. Neil needs to get those tires up to temperature before he even thinks about pushing for a representative time.
Jody Fannin working his way through turn 4 now, still looking to put a benchmark on the board with just over 5 minutes remaining.
He's taking a very disciplined line here. In a short session like this, you can't afford to overcook it on your outlap and ruin the profile of the tire.
Adam Tyus is pinned flat out down the Mario Andretti straightaway, finally opening up the lungs of that engine as the clock ticks under 5 minutes.
This is the moment where you're checking every dial, making sure the pressures are exactly where you want them before you hurl it into the next braking zone.
Constable-Barry is back around to turn 1 again, still looking for that first clean flying lap as we approach the midpoint of this session. and Neil Constable-Berry goes straight to the top. A 1:18.1 sets the mark for the rest of the field to aim at.
Decent banker lap, that. He didn't look like he was wrestling the car too much, so there's definitely more time on the table if he finds another tenth or two in the final sector.
Rich Nate is right on his own tail through turn 1, currently just 1/100th of a second off his personal best.
He's remarkably consistent. If he can just find a tighter line through the mid-corner, he's going to see that delta go green and start climbing the order.
Time is starting to become a real factor for Ben Nadine. We are well past the halfway mark, and he still hasn't posted a time.
He's cutting it fine. One mistake, one lockup, and he won't have enough fuel or time to go again. The pressure in that cockpit will be spiking right now.
Constable-Berry is flying down the Mario Andretti straightaway, nearly 1/4 of a second up on his best, and looking to haul himself out of 14th. Constable-Berry crosses the line and finds 0.6 of a second, but it only moves him up to P12 as the rest of the field finds pace.
He's finding time, but so is everyone else. He'll be frustrated with that because the track is clearly at its quickest right now, and he's still buried in the pack.
Rich Nate enters turn 1 virtually neck and neck with his fastest time, just 100th of a second out. Thomas Kruger-Dorado is absolutely locked in, matching his best lap to the 1,000th as we head into the final 90 seconds.
That is metronomic. When you're that consistent, you know exactly where the limit is. Now he just needs to find one corner where he can be slightly braver on the brakes.
Jimmy Lindo is on a tear right now, nearly 3/10 up on his personal best as we approach the final minute. 1 minute to go, and the screen is still blank for Ben Nadine. He is right on the ragged edge of missing out.
He has absolutely no margin for error now. If he catches a bit of traffic or runs wide, he is starting at the back of the grid. Simple as that.
Constable-Berry is scratching for every 1,000th now, showing a green delta of 7/100ths as the clock winds down under 50 seconds. Look at the delta for Greg Sabo through the S's. He's over a full second faster than his best mark.
He's found a massive chunk of time somewhere. He's absolutely dancing through this section, but he has to keep it tidy through the final few corners to make it count.
David Constable-Berry is flying through White's corner, over 3/10 up on his previous best as the session draws to a close.
He's really committed there, using every inch of the curb. If he keeps this together, he's going to jump several rows up this grid.
3 seconds left on the clock, and Adam Tyus is through turn 1, but he's just a shade slower than his personal best right now. 6 seconds left for Darren Nickel as he sweeps through turn 1, and he is virtually dead level with his best time.
He needs to be perfect from here on out. One tiny slide or a missed apex, and this final chance to move up from 17th is gone.
Check out Ben Nadine. He's nearly 6 seconds up on that initial slow lap. He's absolutely charging to get off the bottom of the timing screens. John Bontakis is screaming down the Mario Andretti straightaway, and he's nearly 2/10 up on a lap that's already good enough for 4th.
He's tucked in, minimizing the drag, and he looks incredibly focused. If he nails the final sector, he could be looking at a front row start here.
Bontakis crosses the stripe and finds nearly a 10th, moving himself up into P3 with a 1:16.4.
It's a solid improvement, but it's tight at the top. He'll be hoping that's enough to keep him on the leading 3 rows once the final times trickle in.
Daniel Kocius is digging deep here, nearly 2/10 up on his previous best as he looks to drag that car up from 17th on the grid. Sky, the drivers are lined up and ready. Should we get it on?
Yes, Hal. We should definitely get it. On.
Hole offers Martine Mole a chance to control the race. Jody Fannin looks focused on that front row, and in a radical SR3, you know he is going to be aggressive the moment those lights go out.
Bountikis is sitting in a sea of pro drivers here, but don't let that AM tag fool you. Starting P3 in the State Route 3 means he has the pace to mix it up with anyone.
Right behind the lead trio, Elliot Norton is poised in fourth, looking to spoil the party for the guys ahead.
Norton knows these State Route 3s are all about momentum. If he can get a better launch than Bountikis, he'll be looking to wedge that radical into a podium spot before the first corner. Constable Barry is right in the thick of it in fifth, and being Pro-Am, he's got that perfect blend of consistency and raw speed to pounce if the front four get too greedy into turn one.
Jareth Hallam lines up seventh, right in the middle of that mid-pack hornet's nest.
Starting in the fourth row is a test of nerves. Hallam needs to be clinical there. One late lunge from someone behind, and your race is compromised before it's even started.
Dorado rounds out the top 9, and in these radicals, that is a prime spot to capitalize if the mid-pack gets messy on the opening lap. Completing the top 10, we have the Irishman, Niall Gagan, who will be looking to punch well above his weight today.
Gagan's got a lot of fast machinery surrounding him. He needs to keep his nose clean and let the race come to him. Patience is a massive asset when you're starting deep in the pack like this. Chris Stokes is out of position back in 11th. A pro driver that far down the grid is going to be on a mission, and he will be looking to pick these guys off one by one.
Adam Tyus lines up in 12th, and he will have his mirrors full of Chris Stokes right from the get-go.
Sabo is sitting in 13th, and for an AM driver, this is where the mental game starts. You've got to find that gap and stay out of the carbon fiber graveyard in those first few seconds.
Rich Snape starts from 15th, and he's going to need a lightning reaction when those red lights disappear.
It's claustrophobic back there. Snape just needs to hit his marks and not get sucked into someone else's mistake. It's all about survival in the opening complex.
Jimmy Lindo slots into 16th, and he'll be hoping that Pro-Am experience helps him navigate the chaos that usually unfolds in the back half of the field.
Kosick has a mountain to climb from 17th. In a sprint like this, he can't afford to wait around. He's got to be decisive every time a door opens.
Green flag. The engines scream as the pack surges forward, and it is a drag race toward the first braking zone.
Bountikis holds firm in third. He didn't get the jump on the leaders, but he's tucked right in and hasn't left the door open for Norton behind him.
Snape holds his ground in 15th, managed to navigate through that initial squeeze without losing any paint. Snape is holding steady in 15th, surviving that initial bottleneck without losing any ground.
That is a win on lap 1. When you're mid-pack in these radicals, it's like being in a washing machine, so keeping it straight and maintaining position is exactly what he needed.
Constable Barry has plummeted down the order to 18th, and he's got Darren Nickel practically glued to his gearbox.
2/10 is nothing. Something has clearly gone wrong for Constable Barry to drop that far back, and Nicole is smelling blood in the water right now. Lindo is all over the back of Kosick here, just a 10th between them with 10 minutes on the clock. That 1:29.476 shows the pace is there, he just needs to pick his spot.
Lindo is looking for any way past. That gap has totally evaporated. It is 0 between them as they scream down the straight.
He is tucked right under the rear wing of Corsa. At this distance, the car in front is basically picking your braking point for you. Lindo is just waiting for the slightest hesitation to pull out and make the move.
Hallam is really finding his rhythm now, hounding David Constable-Berry for that 5th spot.
3/10 back, Hallam is right in the slipstream. He's got 9 minutes to play with, but you can see he wants to get this done early to avoid letting the leaders break away.
Disaster for John Bountakis. He's fallen all the way back to 17th and is staring at a massive 4-second mountain to climb just to catch the back of the train.
Something major must have happened there. To go from the podium spots to the back of the field in 1 lap is heartbreaking, but he's got to put the frustration aside and start chipping away at that gap to Neil Constable-Berry.
It's going from bad to worse for Bountakis. He's tumbled down to 21st, and that gap to Neil Constable-Berry has blown out to over 10 seconds.
He must have had another moment, or some significant damage. When you're bleeding time like that, the car usually feels like it's crab walking. It's a massive test of character now to just keep it on the tarmac.
Stokes has made some serious moves to get up into 6th, but Hallam is absolutely glued to his bumper.
0.2 of a second is nothing at this speed. Stokes set a personal best last time around, but he can't look at the dash. He's got to keep his eyes on the mirrors because Hallam is looking for any opening.
Now Gagan is breathing down the neck of Dorado here, only a 10th in it as they hunt for 9th.
Gagan is using every inch of the road to find a way past. When you're that close in these SR3s, the car in front is basically punching a hole in the air for you. He just needs to time the slingshot right.
Dorado has actually managed to pull a bit of a gap, now 7/10 up the road from Gagan and into 8th place.
Looks like Dorado found a bit of clean air, or Gagan had a slight wobble. That extra half second is huge. It takes Gagan out of the immediate lunging distance and gives Dorado a bit of room to breathe.
Jimmy Lindo has slipped down to 20th, struggling to find a way back toward Darren Nickel, with the gap now out to over a second. Norton is absolutely flying. He's just posted his best lap of the race, and he's within striking distance of Jody Fannin.
0.3 is the danger zone. If Norton can stay this close through the final complex, he's going to have a massive run on Fannin down the straight. He's really found the sweet spot with his tire tenths now.
He's done it. Norton slices past Fannin to take 2nd place.
Clinical move. He didn't hesitate for a second. Now the roles are reversed. Fannin is the one sitting just 0.2 back, and he'll be desperate to get that spot back immediately before Norton can break the toe.
Rich Snape is making steady progress, now up to 14th and stalking Nigel Walters.
Snape's got the pace. He's consistently hitting those 118s. He's within 0.2 of Walters now, putting him right in the gearbox. This is where you start trying different lines to see where the car in front is weakest.
Phil Bodkin is looking sharp in 7th, closing that gap to Dorado to just 0.4 as we approach the 6-minute mark.
Bodkin has completely reeled him in. Only a 10th separate him and Dorado now. He's looking for the overlap everywhere he can.
Bodkin makes the move. He muscles his way past Dorado into 6th, and there's absolutely nothing between them as they go wheel to wheel.
Hallam is within 0.2 of Gagan now. He's dropped a few spots since earlier, but he's got 5 minutes plus a lap to claw his way back into that top 8.
Gagan has pulled away slightly and actually picked up another position, leaving Hallam 0.6 adrift in 9th. As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say? Behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew. Constable Barry is hounding Cossack for 15th. 2/10 is a tiny margin, especially with only 4 minutes left to make these moves count.
Constable Barry is right on the limit. He is practically pushing Cossack through the corners.
There is no air between those cars. Constable Barry is clearly faster through this section, but Cossack is placing his radical perfectly. It's a game of chess at 140 miles per hour.
Fovarg is under massive fire from Gagan, and looking at the timing, there is absolutely zero margin between them for ninth. Fovarg manages to get a bit of breathing room, stretching that gap out to 4/10 over Gagan.
He must have nailed the exit of the last turn. That half-second gap is like a gift from heaven for a driver under pressure. It lets Fovarg stop defending and start focusing on his own braking points again. Cossack has dropped behind Constable Barry and now trails by 4/10. He's got to dig deep and find that 1:17 pace again if he wants to retaliate.
Norton is right on the tail of Martin Mole. This is the battle for the lead, and it's separated by just a tenth of a second.
He is hunting him down. Norton has been the quicker man over the last few laps, and Mole can feel the heat. One tiny slip on the curbs from the leader, and Norton will be through.
Mole manages to respond. He eked out half a second on Norton now, giving himself a vital cushion.
Mole is showing why he's in Q1. He absorbed that pressure and just put together a flawless sector to break the immediate threat. Norton's going to have to reset and go again.
Snape is still chasing Walters for 13th, but that gap is stabilized at half a second.
Snape is pushing hard. You can see the car dancing on the edge of adhesion. Walters is matching him for now, but in these radicals, tire wear can start to play a role late in the session.
Snape makes it happen. He snatched 13th from Walters, and they're practically touching as they roar down the straight.
Zero gap! Snape timed that perfectly. He forced Walters into a defensive line, took the better exit, and now he's got the position. He just needs to make sure he covers the inside into the next braking zone.
Nigel Walters has hit trouble. He's dropped back to 17th and has Darren Nickel right on his gearbox.
He went from fighting for 13th to defending 17th in a heartbeat. He's got to get his head back in the game quickly because Nicole is only a tenth behind and looking to demote him even further.
Jimmy Lindo just set his best lap of the race. He's all over Nigel Walters for 18th.
Lindo is finding pace late in the day. A 1 minute 17 seconds and 2 milliseconds is serious feedback there, and with that 1/10 gap, Walters is going to have a very difficult time keeping him at bay.
Lindo has lost some ground. After being right in the wheel tracks of Walters, the gap has suddenly stretched out to 6/10.
He might have asked too much of the tires on that last flying lap. You push that hard to close the gap. Sometimes you overheat the fronts and lose that turn-in bite when you actually get there to make the move.
Norton has taken the lead. He's pulled it off, but Martin Mole is absolutely inseparable from the back of that radical.
There is literally zero gap on the timing screen. Norton has the lead, but Mole is looking to cross him over immediately. This is top-tier racing. Absolute precision from both of them.
Phil Bodkin is on an absolute charge, setting a personal best and hunting down Jareth Hallam for 9th.
He's pulled himself back into the top 10, and he's not done yet. 1/10 between them. Hallam is going to have to get very wide to keep a motivated Bodkin behind him.
Hallam manages to fend off that initial assault, stretching the lead back out to 0.6 over Bodkin.
Mal is keeping Norton honest at the front. 0.3 back, he's just waiting for Norton to overcook it into one of these heavy braking zones.
Norton is just starting to edge away. The lead is now up to 0.4 over Mal.
It's marginal, but Norton is finding those extra millimeters of track. Mal needs to stick with him here. If that gap gets over a second, the toe is gone, and Norton will be able to manage the race from there.
Kosick is back in 17th after a difficult lap, but he's already closing in on Robert Cormack, sitting just 0.3 behind.
Kosick is struggling to make an impression there. That gap to Cormack has actually crept up to 0.4.
Walters is trying to recover from 18th, stalking Kosick with less than half a second between them. Walters is losing touch with Kosick, the gap stretching out to 0.6 now.
He's just not finding the rhythm in the middle of the corner. You can see the car is washing out wide on him, and that's costing him those crucial tenths every single lap.
Kosick is back under pressure from Walters, with only 0.2 separating them as they head into lap 10.
This is a proper scrap for 17th. Neither of these guys wants to finish this lowdown, and you can see them both getting more aggressive with the curbs, trying to find any advantage.
Elliot Norton has 20 seconds of pure tension remaining, with Martine Mole still looming large in those mirrors just 0.4 back. Elliot Norton takes the checkered flag. Brilliant drive from 4th on the grid to clinch a hard-fought victory.
Mal has to settle for second today. He led from the start, but just couldn't quite hold off the charge from Norton in the end.
Jody Fannin brings it home in 3rd to round out our podium finishers.
He stayed in the hunt all race, but in this field, you have to be perfect to take the top step. Still, a solid haul of points for the not-known driver.
The top 10 is filling up fast, with Castleberry taking a solid 4th, followed by Dorado, Stokes, and Fovarg across the line.
Great recovery from Stokes to get back into 6th, and Fovarg really had to earn that 7th place under immense pressure in those closing laps.
Gio Kagan leads the next group home in 8th, with Hallam, Bodkin, and Tyus following him across the stripe to finalize our top 11. Further down the field, Sabo crosses in 12th, with Neil Constable-Berry, Rich Snape, and Darren Nickel finishing in short order.
Snape will be happy with 14th after that mid-race battle, and Nickel kept him honest right to the very end. It was tight all the way through the pack today.
Closing out the finishers, we have Cormack in 16th, followed by Walters, Coxis, and Naden.
Tough day at the office for Walters and Kokis after that long-running duel, but they both kept it on the track to see the flag.
Jimmy Lindo brings his Radical home in 20th place to complete the running order for this session. It's a beautifully calm day here at Mosport 2021 as we're getting ready to kick things off.
The calm before the storm. I don't know about you, Hal, but I can't wait to see who comes out on top.
Jimmy Lindo sits on the top spot in that radical SR3, and it is a massive statement from the Pro-Am driver to be leading the field away today.
Ben Naden is right there on the front row as well. He will be looking to get a jump on Lindo the second those lights go out.
Daniel Kosick lines up in third, right in the wheel tracks of the leaders and looking for any opening the moment they hit the brakes for the first time.
He's in a prime spot. Starting third in these radicals is all about the slipstream. Kosick just needs to stay tucked in and let the front two punch a hole in the air for him. Cormac is punching well above his weight in fifth. Keeping that State Route 3 ahead of the Pro-Am pack behind him is going to be a massive test of his mirrors.
Right behind him, we have Darren Nicole, making it an all-British, all-Am third row of the grid as we count down to the start.
Rich Snape is looming large in seventh. He's a driver who knows how to pick his battles, and starting mid-pack means he's got to be clinical to make progress.
And rounding out the top 8, we have Constable Barry. He'll be desperate to get a clean launch and avoid any of the mid-pack chaos that usually kicks off here.
Greg Sabo is tucked in on the fifth row, and being in ninth puts him right in the danger zone if anyone ahead of him bogs down at the start.
Adam Tyus rounds out the top 10, looking to make that English flag proud and climb through the order in his State Route 3.
Starting 10th is a double-edged sword. Tyus has a great view of the cars ahead, but he's got to be so precise with his braking markers while everyone is bunched up on lap 1.
Jareth Hallam finds himself further back than he'd like in 12th, especially being in the Pro-Am class.
He's got work to do. When you're buried mid-pack like that, you're at the mercy of everyone else's braking points for the first few corners. He needs to be aggressive but smart.
Dominic Fovarg is sitting down in 14th, and that is a lot of traffic for a Pro-Am driver to navigate if he wants to get back to the front.
It is a long way back. And in these radicals, if you get stuck in a DRS-style train early on, your race can disappear before you've even found your rhythm.
Chris Stokes is all the way back in 15th, which is a massive shock for a driver of his caliber in the Pro class.
I don't know what happened in qualifying, but Stokes is going to be on a mission. He's got the raw pace, he just needs to keep the nose clean while he carves through the field.
David Constable Barry lines up in 17th, looking at a mountain of cars ahead of him as we prepare to go racing.
He's got his work cut out. Down there, you're reacting to the brake lights 3 cars ahead, just to survive the opening lap.
And the lights are out. The sea of radical surges forward as they scream toward the first corner.
Lindo nailed the launch. He's got that State Route 3 pinned to the inside and controlled the start perfectly to hold on to the lead.
Jody Fannin is already on the move, picking up 2 spots on this opening lap.
He's got his elbows out. Fannin knows he can't afford to wait around if he wants to salvage something from that 18th place start. Fannin is making early gains, slicing through the pack to move up into 16th before the first lap is even done.
Tough break for Neil Constable Barry. He's dropped like a stone down to 12th.
He must have bogged down at the start or got hung out to dry on the outside of the first turn. That is a lot of hard-earned qualifying work gone in seconds.
Constable Barry's nightmare start is getting worse. He's plummeted another 2 spots down to 14th, while Dominic Fovarg has absolutely bolted up to 9th.
The gap is over 3 seconds now. Fovarg clearly found a gap while everyone else was stationary, but for Neil, it's just a total collapse of track position.
Rich Snape is holding on to 5th for dear life, with Tyus absolutely glued to his gearbox, only 3/10 of it.
Snape's got to hit every apex here because Adam Tyus is looking for any hint of a mistake. We've got 10 minutes plus a lap to go, and neither of these two will want to give an inch this early.
Greg Sabo is hounding the back of Tyus now, just 2 tenths, separating them as they battle for 6th.
Sabo is using every bit of the road to find a way past. With 9 minutes on the clock, he's clearly got the pace to move forward. He just needs to pick his moment to dive down the inside.
Szabo's done it. He's muscled his way past Tyas to take 6th, and there's absolutely nothing between them as they go wheel to wheel. Greg Szabo is on a tear. He's just picked off another position to move into 5th, leaving Tyas 7 tenths back in 7th.
He's got his head down and he's finding grip where others aren't. To jump 2 places in that short of a window shows just how much confidence Szabo has in the front end of that radical right now.
Dominic Fovarg is all over the back of Cormac, just 2 tenths the difference as they start lap 2.
Fovarg just set his personal best, so the pace is definitely there. Robert Cormac is going to have to get defensive, or he'll lose that 8th place before the lap is out.
Fovarg makes the move stick. He's up in 8th place, while Robert Cormac has actually tumbled down 2 spots to 10th.
They were practically touching through that exchange. Cormac seems to have lost all his momentum in that scrap, and now he's got to rebuild his rhythm from the back of that little group.
Ben Naden is breathing down the neck of Adam Tyas, just a 10th of a second in it as they scream through this lap.
Nadine's looking for the overlap everywhere. Tyas is doing a good job of placing that car in the middle of the track, but with 8 minutes left, he can't defend like this forever without hurting his tires.
Constable Barry is desperately trying to claw back some pride. Here, he is right on the gearbox of Jody Fannin.
He's only 2 tenths back, and that 1 minute 17 seconds and 9 milliseconds shows he's found the pace he was missing at the start. Fannin's got a mirror full of radical and 8 minutes of pressure ahead of him.
Wait, Constable Barry is heading for the pit lane. He's dropping all the way down to 17th.
That's gutting. He worked so hard to close that gap on Fannin, but something must be wrong mechanically. With only 7 minutes left, this is the last place you want to be.
Ben Naden is absolutely hounding Dominic Fovarg through turn 4. There's barely a cigarette paper between these two.
Fovarg managed to find a little bit of breathing room through that exit, stretching the gap out to 4 tenths, but Nadine isn't going anywhere.
Niall Gagan is right in the wheel tracks of Dorado, hunting for that 10th position.
He's about a second off his best lap, but he's still got the toe. With 6 minutes to go, Gagan knows he has the raw speed to make this move stick. He can just force a mistake.
Gagan moves up into the top 10, but it looks like Dorado actually cleared another car in the process to take 8th.
Martin Mall is flying through Clayton Corner. He just posted his fastest lap of the race, and he's closing in on Dorado fast.
Something massive has happened. Martin Mall is up to 9th, and Dorado has plummeted all the way down to 14th.
10.5 seconds. Dorado must have had a massive moment or a spin. Mole just kept his nose clean and inherited the position while Dorado's race is completely unraveled.
Jody Fannin is stalking Ben Naden, searching for any opportunity to jump into 15th.
Fannin is incredibly close, only a 10th back. He's much faster than Nadine on that last lap, so I'd expect a move very soon, with only 5 minutes remaining on the clock.
Greg Szabo is absolutely flying. He's within 2 tenths of Nigel Walters, looking to reclaim that 5th spot. Absolute chaos for the leaders. Szabo moves up to 4th, while Nigel Walters has dropped like a stone to 10th.
6.5 seconds gap now? Walters must have gone off or got tangled up. Szabo is the big winner there, suddenly finding himself within shouting distance of the podium.
Unbelievable. Greg Szabo is onto the podium in 3rd, while Nigel Walters has completely disappeared from the lead battle, down in 19th and over 2 minutes back. Martin Mall is charging again, and he's narrowed the gap to David Constable Barry down to 6 tenths of a second.
Maul has the bit between his teeth. He's already proven he's got 1:16 pace in that car, so David is going to have to find some extra speed to hold on to that 6th place.
Maul is chipping away at it. The gap is down to just 4/10 now.
He's looming larger and larger in Constable Barry's mirrors. When you're being hunted like this, it's so easy to overcook an entry and hand the position over on a silver platter.
David Constable Barry is under immense pressure here, with Martin Maul practically trying to climb into his cockpit.
He's got to stay calm. David knows his best lap is nearly identical to Mole's, so it's all about the exit speeds now. If he misses one apex, Mole will be past him before he can blink.
Martin Maul is absolutely on fire. He just set the fastest lap of the race, and he's right on Constable Barry's bumper.
0.2 of a second. That 1 minute, 16 seconds, and 6 milliseconds is a serious statement. Maul is clearly the faster man on track right now, and I don't think David can hold him off much longer.
Constable Barry manages to find a tiny bit of breathing room, stretching the gap back out to 4/10.
That was a gutsy lap from David to respond to that pressure. He's not rolling over for Maul, even if his opponent has that raw pace advantage right now.
David Constable Barry pulls out a personal best to keep Maul at bay, but that gap is still a razor-thin 3/10.
Maul is absolutely relentless, keeping that gap at 3/10. He knows he's got the pace, he's just waiting for Constable Barry to blink.
Martin Maul has lost a bit of ground there. The gap has opened up to half a second.
He might have pushed those tires a bit too hard, trying to find a way past. Sometimes you have to back off for a lap just to get some clean air over the nose and try again.
Wait, the tables have turned. David Constable Barry has slipped to 7th and is now the one hunting Martin Maul, just 2/10 behind. Maul has managed to stretch that lead back out to 0.6 of a second now.
It's a game of cat and mouse. David threw everything at him for a second there, but Maul seems to have found his rhythm again in the lead of this pair.
Martin Maul and David Constable Barry have both moved up the order. They're now battling for 4th place.
They must have capitalized on some drama further up the road. 3/10 is nothing at this stage of the race, especially with 4th place on the line.
David Constable Barry sits in 5th, putting 0.7 of daylight between himself and Dominic Fauvarg as we head into lap 8. A huge change for David Constable Barry. He's fallen back to 7th, and Dominic Fauvarg has surged ahead into 5th with a massive, nearly 5-second gap.
Dorado is making a recovery here. He's up to 10th and taking chunks out of Chris Stokes' lead, sitting just 0.4 back.
Dorado is relentless. He's halved that gap to Chris Stokes, only 0.2 in it now.
He's stalking him. When you're that close, you're just waiting for the car ahead to miss a gear, or go a fraction too deep into a braking zone.
Wait, Chris Stokes has slipped back into 10th, and it's Thomas Kruger Dorado who has moved into 9th, opening a 4/10 gap. Stokes fights back. He's back in 9th, and Dorado is right there with him, literally 0 seconds between them.
They are side by side. This is exactly what you want to see. Hard racing where neither driver is willing to back out of the throttle.
David Constable Berry has tumbled down to 10th, and that 1:27 lap time tells you exactly why. He's lost over 10 seconds of pace.
He must have had a massive off-course spin. To go from battling for the top 5 to hanging on to 10th by 0.6 of a second is a bitter pill to swallow.
Adam Tyus is sitting in 7th, 7/10 behind Rich Snape as we reach the closing stages of this one.
Tyus was much slower on that last lap, nearly 4 seconds off his best. He might be struggling with tire wear or just making sure he brings it home in one piece.
Tyus has dropped another spot to 8th, and Rich Snape has completely bolted away, opening that gap up to over 2 seconds.
Chris Stokes is sniffing an opportunity here. He's within 0.4 of Tyus as they start the 10th lap.
Stokes moves up. He takes 8th place away from Adam Tyus, but there's only 0.2 in it as they continue the scrap. In your experience, Guy, what was the most important aspect of managing tire degradation during a race?
The most important aspect, Hal, was maintaining a good balance between pushing hard and conserving tires. Finding the sweet spot between aggression and tire preservation was key to optimizing race pace and strategy.
Jimmy Lindo is just 20 seconds away from glory, holding a comfortable nearly 3-second lead over Daniel Kosick. Jimmy Lindo takes the checkered flag, a flawless lights-to-flag victory for the Pro-Am driver.
Total dominance. He started on pole, controlled the pace, and never looked back. That is how you manage a race from the front.
Daniel Kosick brings it home in 2nd, a solid podium finish after starting from the 3rd spot on the grid.
He drove a smart race, stayed out of trouble, and was there to pick up the pieces. A well-deserved result for him today.
And what a drive from Greg Sabo from 9th all the way to the final step of the podium in 3rd.
Driver of the day for me. To make up 6 places in a field this competitive is staggering. He was clinical with his overtakes, and the pace was just relentless.
The results are flooding in now. Martin Moll takes 4th, followed by Fovargue in 5th, Rich Snape in 6th, and Dorado grabbing 7th.
Great scrap between those 4 all race long. Moll really turned it on late, and Fovargue recovered well to secure that top 5 finish.
Chris Stokes holds on for 8th, with Adam Tyus, Jareth Hallam, and Ben Naden rounding out the top 11 as they cross the stripe. David Constable Berry crosses in 12th, leading home Norton, Fannin, and Phil Bodkin.
Tough day for David after being so far up early on, but he at least salvaged a finish. Fannin also moved up from the very back of the grid to get into that 14th spot.
Darren Nickel finishes in 16th, and Neil Constable Berry brings it home in 17th after that early drama in the pits.